Welcome back to my YouTube channel. Today I'm going to talk all about plants. I like to think I'm a resident plant queen. I've actually never counted all the plants in my apartment, but if I had to guess, it would probably be between 40 to 60 plants, depending on like small plants and succulents and how you count those, because they are plants, but like kind of make sure average go up. And I know how I see it counting succulents, but I do have quite a lot of plants in my apartment. And do you know what? I love plants, but I'm not gonna lie, I've killed a fair few in my time. And it's taken me probably like 1.5 years to 2 years to really get into being like very planty. I love how they look in my apartment. I love how they make me feel. And generally, I just love them. I just think they're great. So yeah, I got loads of plants recently. And if you know me, I do love to go to a B&Q home base kind of haul kind of situation to pick up my plants because it's cheaper. Yeah, it's just cheaper. But I don't mind going to independent places, obviously, but I do find they can be quite overpriced. So for someone that buys plants regularly, I like to go to the cheaper places because I feel like you get more for your money, basically. But if I'm looking for a specific kind of plant that's quite hard to find, then you are better off going to the more indie sellers. But recently, I was sent some plants from an online store that delivers. You can also go there, but obviously with everything going on at the moment, you unfortunately can't go there. But they're based in London, called leafenvy. The girl that started it is really lovely. I had a few chats with her online and she just was like, I'd love to send you some plants, and I was like, oh my god, that would be amazing. And she did. So she has a lot of bundles on the website at the moment. I'm going to go through a few of the ones she sent me, just not all of them, because otherwise this video is going to be really long and I've already been rambling for quite a long time. And I'm also going to show you some that I got from another website called Bakker, which you'll see why, but I do not recommend Bakker because they ruined a plant that came in the post. But if you're getting smaller plants, then you might be okay. And if you're getting a smaller, like 2 or 3 plants, then you might be okay. But I will get to that when we get to that. So I'm going to start off with, I guess, leafenvy. So let's just get into the video. So the first plant I have from leafenvy is a pothos plant. I've never had one that's just like this. I've only ever had a satin pothos plant, but she sent me this as part of the, I think it was the Unkillable collection, but I also got a couple of these from the Hanging Plant collection. Pothos plants are great to look after. They're quite easy to look after. I found this one really easy, and I love the plant pot that I popped it in because it looks like hair coming out of this person's little face. I got this from Urban Outfitters a really long time ago when I was in America, actually, and I do not think they will have it anymore. And yes, I did put this in my suitcase and wrapped it in a bunch of clothes when I was in New York in Urban Outfitters, so it was worth it. I absolutely love this plant pot and it fits the pothos perfectly. Yeah, they're really easy to look after. I actually got a couple more from leafenvy, trailing ones. I got 2 specifically that are quite long and trailing that are just above my TV stand that I absolutely love, and so far they've been super easy to look after. The behind bit of it, where the leaves don't get as much sunlight, have unfortunately started to crumble off, but that's kind of a standard. Where they are is against the wall, and behind it doesn't really get that much light, so that's kind of my bad. Maybe I should have moved them a bit more, but in terms of watering and that kind of thing, they're fine as long as you kind of give them enough drainage in the plant pots you have them in. I've just kept them in the plant pots that they came in because I know that it's drained well, because it has proper drainage, and I also don't really care for having it into a fancy plant pot. I don't think it always matters when it's a hanging planter. I just think it's easy to keep it in this plant pot with the hanger and stuff. So I might move them around, but I don't want them to die. And I feel like when you move them into another plant pot, you can have that situation. And also because they're hanging, if you move them into a plant pot that's like concrete like this, it might be too heavy for the wall, and it's only held up by command hooks, so it's not perfect. So they're my pothos plants that I got from leafenvy, and I love them. And I also got another pothos. So I got this one, which I already have a satin pothos, but I got another one from leafenvy. Ooh, this one. So as you can see, there is quite a bit of difference between this pothos. I mean, the length first of all, but obviously the way they look, if you can see, there's quite a big difference. This is a satin pothos because I guess you can tell it looks a bit more satiny, and It's beautiful. I love it. This one's really, really thriving. My old one, not so much. This one is beautiful. It's very, very, very long. There's not as much curlage as I've had with other Satin Puff plants, and I think that's because it's getting enough light and I'm not overwatering it, which is a really big killer, especially in summer like we are now. I'm overwatering my plants a little bit because I'm scared that they're dying with no water because it's very, very hot in our apartment. But actually, I think I'm overwatering them a little bit because some of my plants are starting to get brown leaves, so I need to chill out. But yes, this is super healthy. This was from their hanging plants collection and I love it. This is my plant pot that I've had for a while. It fits perfectly. It's still got the actual plastic nursery pot that it came in. I just took the hanger off because it came with a hanger, like my other pothos did, and I just have this on my TV stand and I love it. This concrete plant pot is beautiful, and I love that it's really fat enough to fit it in because it's quite a wide plant pot that it comes in, the nursery pot, and it's perfect. I absolutely love it. I think it looks gorgeous. So yeah. Next up from leafenvy, I got some unkillable plants from their unkillable plant collection bundle that they do. So I got a Sansevieria, a standard one, although the leaves on this are a bit wider than my previous one, which isn't to hand, I don't think, no. So it's slightly different to the one that I already have, but it's the same colouring as one that I already have and many that I've had in the past that have died, which these plants don't usually die. They're very unkillable, like the name says, but they died because they were in the bathroom and the humidity and the heat just got to them, and that was my bad. So I've just put it in this cute pot that is actually from leafenvy. They sent that over, which is lovely. And this actually just sits, if I can grab it, standing plant pot like this. It just goes into here and it looks like that. So I really like that plant and I'm just gonna pop it there. So yeah, that's my Sansevieria from their unkillable bundle, and then they also sent me a plant that I've never had before, which is quite rare for me. I've kind of gone through at least having a plant, even if it's died, I've had it, even if it was a couple of years ago, and maybe I've not repurchased it because it was really difficult to keep alive or I just didn't really like it, but I've had most plants that are popular, and this plant is actually very popular. I've just never had it before. I think this is called a ZZ plant. And it looks like this. I popped it in a little concrete plant pot that I've had for a while because it's quite a, as you can see, small plant pot with quite a big plant. I think it's perfect because this is such a small plant pot. Quite difficult to find plants that would fit in there. I absolutely love how this looks. I'd love to get a really big one of these because they're quite unkillable and you don't need to water them that much. In fact, the less you water it, the better, because it's like Sansevieria where it doesn't need that much water to survive. And if you water it too much, then you're going to overwater it. So yeah, I love how this looks. It's absolutely beautiful. And this is one of the things similar to a Sansevieria snake plant where a lot of people who are beginners get recommended this. So I don't know why I've never had one before, but I love it and I'm so glad they sent it over to me. So thank you to leafenvy for that. So next up, I'm gonna go through some of the plants that I got from a website called Bakker. Don't recommend them because I actually had a plant unfortunately die. Not die, but it got really wrecked in the post, and I'll show you that one in a minute. But there are a couple that I do like, and it is very cheap if you're wanting cheap plants, but obviously cheap plants comes with the issue of it being sent not so great. So I'm gonna show you some of the plants I got. So the first one I got, first time I've ever had one, again, another plant that I've never had before, is a Chinese money plant, really easy to look after. There are some times where the leaves do get a bit weird and then they end up coming off, but it's quite common with a Chinese money plant, and you can see the little sprigs that are starting to shoot through. So yeah, I've just got that in a normal plant pot that I've had for a very, very long time, and this just sits on my TV stand. Really like this, really easy to look after, and I can't believe I've never had one before. I've also snipped a little shoot off and popped it in some water to try and propagate it, so we'll see how I get on with that. But yeah, I really like this plant. Next up, we have a plant that I absolutely love, and it is a Hedera English ivy. This is a really long one, as you can see, and I absolutely love ivy. As you can see, it comes in a hanger. I don't have this hanging. I don't know why this is still on here. It's actually just in a big plant pot over there, and it's okay. It's crisping a bit because I think I overwatered it because of how hot it is at the moment, so I need to chill out on the water because I don't really like it. I think they would, because a lot of ivy is found outside, they get rained on, but actually this kind of ivy doesn't like that much water. Super, super, super trailing, and I got it from Bakker because I really wanted a long ivy, and I put it in a spot where my old ivy survived and thrived, so we'll see how it gets on because my other ivies that I've had in the past were never in the same spot and they just died instantly. So see how I get on. It's been doing good so far. I've had it for a few weeks now, but yeah, I love the effect of ivy. It just looks so nice. If you can keep it alive, great. If you can't, then yeah, it's one of those things. But a long one from Bakker, I do like it because it was only like, I guess, under £15 or something, so really affordable. Just unfortunate that Bakker is not one of my favorite places to get stuff from, but I do actually really like this ivy. Next up from Bakker, we've got this big old fern. This is a Boston fern, and I've popped it in this kind of wooden bowl. Absolutely stunning. I love how it looks in this bowl because it just kind of comes out super wide. It's kind of a medium-sized Boston fern, and I've had a couple of Boston ferns thrive, I've had a couple die, so I'm gonna see how I can get on with this one. It's the kind of plant that does like water, but make sure you drain it so it doesn't get root rot, and don't touch it too much because it doesn't really like being touched. I know it's really tempting to be like, oh, I love it, but don't do that because it doesn't really like being touched. So keep it moist, but don't overdo it, and make sure you drain it properly, otherwise it'll get root rot. But I'm excited to have this one again, and I love how big it is, and it just has a really good effect on my TV stand. So yeah, I love having a fern back in my life. We have the bird of paradise plant. So I already have a bird of paradise in my apartment that I absolutely love, and I saw loads of people on YouTube, I think it is, I've seen so many people have bird of paradise plants that are a little bit different to the one that I have, and this is it. I think this is one that doesn't have the orangey shoot bit that you can get, but my other one does have, is that style. But yeah, if you can see, the leaves are wrecked. So this happened in the post, and my poor plant got absolutely wrecked because of how badly they packaged it at Bakker. All of the leaves have pretty much gotten wrecked. It's a shame. It cost £40 as well, which is obviously devastating when you're spending that much money on a plant. I love the size. If this didn't get damaged, obviously I think £40 is worth it, but damn, they did not. Honestly, the way they packaged it was ridiculous, and my other plants were fine-ish, but this one got the most damage obviously because it's so big and all the soil was falling out of it, and it was just awful. So yeah, I do not recommend Bakker because of that reason. But if you're only getting a couple of plants and they're small, then it's fine, but don't get big plants from Bakker. But we'll see how I get on with this one. There's a couple of new shoots, like there's a new one here, don't know if you can see, so I might be able to save it, but we'll see. I'm not sure. I'm not gonna not have this out and try and look after it because it has a few damaged leaves. Obviously, like, it's still a beautiful plant, and I feel like I can save it, but it is just such a shame that it went through so much damage. So yeah, I love how it looks. It's just a shame that they did that. So that is it for my plant haul. I hope you guys enjoyed it. I will link all of these plants down below. Please let me know if you have bought any plants recently, or if there are any plants that you have been loving. And if you have any questions on plants, then I will try and answer them. And hopefully other people that see the questions that know a little bit more than me about plants can answer them for you. But yeah, I'd love for you guys to ask me some questions. Like and subscribe if you haven't already, and I'll see you guys very soon.